I know we got some other things to talk about besides old Greg Abbott. But something also we could touch on is movies. You know, we talked about movies and how we like movies.
Mm-hmm.
We're always telling each other what movies to check out.
Yep.
You know, and I think you're more into a lot of the crime scene and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I hit on that too. But I'm an alien guy. I love aliens. I like extraterrestrial, dude, ancient aliens. I love that shit.
Yep.
But let's talk about one movie in specific, or a few movies. What was the one you told me about?
So I saw this one on Netflix, and it's called The Confession Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that one, man, that one opened up my eyes, man. You know, a lot of people just see prison or jail for what it is. It's you hold bad people in there, break the law, murder, whatever. But it's a business, just like anything else, man. And you got to keep them numbers up.
Yeah.
They got investors. They've got X amount of dollars to spend throughout the year. I think some prisons or jails get paid for however many inmates they have.
Yeah.
It's like the schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get paid for every kid they have.
Yeah. Why do you think going back to school was such a big deal?
Well, man, I thought school was a prison when I was there, man.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, The Confession Killer, definitely something to watch if you haven't watched it. I think it's a little mini series. I don't remember. It's a docu-series. I don't remember if I think it's one season. I don't remember how many shows, but man, that guy there, I'm just going to spoil it. If you haven't watched it, too bad. Sorry. But anyways, so back in the 70s, I'm not 100% sure. This was back in the day. So, there's these small towns that have murders, and it's unusual for them, I guess. So, naturally, they go on a witch hunt. They got to find a Satanist. They got to find the cultist. They got to find some sort of connection, to a bizarre murder.
Right.
Or a murder for that matter. But anyways, they find this guy. They find this woman who's dead, and he's connected to her. So they go and ask him, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it."
Mm-hmm.
But so when they take him into jail, the sheriff of the town tells him, he gives him the whole crime scene.
Right.
So this guy in his mind is like, "Yeah, I did it." So when it comes to time to confess for it, he tells him details that only
the killer would know.
The killer would know, and the sheriff, or whoever investigated the crime scene.
Right.
So they're like, "Bam, we got our guy." Well, then all these other murders start popping up, and the sheriff starts asking this guy, "Hey, man, do you know about this? This, this happened this way, this happened that way," and he's like, "Yeah, that was me."
Mm-hmm.
So he starts confessing to murder after murder after murder, and then somewhere along in the lines, he links up with another guy that helps him commit murders.
Right.
Apparently, they go like on a nationwide murder spree. So he gets put in jail. The sheriff he gets handed his medal, gets handed his pat on the back, everything.
Wow.
Yeah. In a nutshell. And then somewhere along the way, somebody starts looking at these cases. I don't remember if it's another law enforcement official or what. They start looking at these cases and they're like, "Hey, man, there's no way this guy committed, I think it's like 100 murders." They're like, "No, yeah, he did it, man. Here's the paperwork." And so he starts looking in there. He's like, "No. Because on this date, he was supposed to be 400 miles away from this murder scene.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he drove there in 2 hours."
Exactly.
So they start doing that kind of stuff. They start looking around. So then they go talk to him. They're like, "Hey, man, did you really commit all these murders?" And he's like, "No." They're like, "What do you mean, no?" And he's like, "No, I didn't commit any murders."
Yeah.
So when he says this, they're looking back and they're like, "Oh shit," they're looking through it. Well, the first girl that he murdered reappears as she's alive because she saw him on TV.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, I'm not dead. I know who that guy is. His name is Henry something." And she's like, "Hey, I know that guy." So she comes up and she tells, I don't remember if it was the news or what. And she's like, "I'm the girl that's supposed to be murdered. He didn't kill me. I knew him." And I guess he had a crush on her.
Yeah.
So anyways, man, that snowballs. Bam. So it opens up a can of worms. They start looking into it, and they're all like, "Hey, man, why did you confess to all this shit?" And he's all like, "Well, I wanted the attention." He wasn't in his right state of mind.
Right. But to touch on that, man, the court system.
Hmm?
As long as they were getting the hits.
Yep.
As long as they were putting people where they were closing these cases.
That's what they want.
That's what they wanted.
Yep.
That just shows how they're not in the favor, bro. It's really not. When you go to court, like they say, the wording's totally different.
Yeah.
You know. So the movie, and I've seen the movie, the one you're talking about, and yeah, it's pretty tripped out, dude, on how, you know, was it Texas Rangers start getting involved and everything, and
Yep.
that they ended up getting in trouble.
Yep.
I think, long story short. So the movie I was talking about, and it happened over there where I grew up. Johnny Frank Garrett. Apparently, similar thing.
Yeah.
They always look for the guy that's thrown off.
Yeah.
Or have a mental instability. So in this movie, there's a movie called The Last Words of Johnny Frank Garrett. This is the movie me and my wife saw.
Yeah.
And naturally, there was a girl that got raped, you know, whatever. You know, something bad happened to her.
Right.
And they needed a scapegoat. And naturally, this kid, you know, he had problems, you know, in and out, lost his parents.
Yep.
You know, grew up, foster home. And he just happened to know the girl.
Yeah.
And people wanted a confession. People wanted somebody to hang for this.
Yep.
And this guy, he wasn't mentally right. But they said that he would beat on a bush with a stick. You know, just weird stuff.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, whatever. Well, he spends like almost 10 years on death row. Okay, waiting to get, you know, lethally injected.
Yep.
And right before, there's a part in the movie, right before he goes, he's in this jail cell and he's writing this letter, dude. Like, he's into this letter, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And he puts it on a pillow. Well, they hit him with the stuff, right? Well, right before he's you know, I don't know if you ever seen, I've never seen it personally, but on movies, you know, people that get, you know, put to death by lethal injection, it just looks like they go to sleep.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to look like. A peaceful death, no pain,
Yeah.
whatever. More humane, I guess. From where we started in this.
Yeah.
And I get it. But right before this dude actually fades out, like, there's a demon type shit that comes up. And it's a horror movie. And he comes and he just straight up says, "You could kiss my ever-loving ass." And right after that, slowly, right before that, right after everything happened, he goes, "Anybody that's connected to this, because I already told you I'm innocent, you, your family, your children, their children, so on and so forth, anybody that's birthed in your family line will see me." And dude, like, everybody just kind of like, man. But when all that happened, there was a guy, and he was a DA, and he kind of had like a smirk on his face. And he just kind of knew, like, oh yeah, we got him.
Right.
Well, anyways, story goes on, movie goes on, people start dying, killing each other, killing themselves. And a little boy gets one of the main guys, because there was a jury. And I don't know if you've been on jury duty. I've been on jury duty, but a lot of that has to go through a majority of the vote.
Yeah.
But there was one guy that didn't want to do it. And naturally, this dude, when he died, and he put a curse on everybody. That's what that letter was a curse. He grabbed a hold of that dude's son, the one that he didn't know. And this is why I'm talking about the court system, and didn't mean to go off on a movie tangent, but the guy that didn't believe that he did it, that thought that guy was actually innocent, while they were in the jury room, they straight up forced this guy to say yes.
Yeah.
You know, well, I want to make sure I sleep well at night. We need to make sure that our citizens have an answer for this.
Yeah.
And they did. And, you know, he naturally came after that dude's son. Long story short, he's trying to fix it. He goes to the DA. And he's straight up told him, "I did it for the good of the people. I did it because I wanted to make sure my town wasn't over there running around thinking this guy's going to hurt him.
Yep.
You know, so that goes back to the court system. Like, do they do that?
I bet they do. I bet they do.
You know what I'm saying? Because how many people, and I'm not saying, if some people are in prison, there's a reason.
Right.
I'm not saying that everybody in prison is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying everybody in prison is good.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is there's a way that things can be changed within the system to make them look like they're
Plea deals.
Yeah, plea deals.
Yep. That's one way.
Mm-hmm. Or they just sit there and say, "Oh, just let him rot in the can."
Yeah.
Until he says he did it.
Especially if he's got a record.
Oh yeah.
Especially if he's got a record that they know if that person has family member that can afford to get him out.
Yeah.
Or to fight it. Better put, to fight it.
But even at that though, so talking about the court system.
Mm-hmm.
You get a guy with the squeaky clean record.
Yep.
Goes and robs a store. Gets life.
Yeah.
Or you have one that kind of has a in and out. Robs the store.
Yeah.
He gets 6 months probation.
Yeah. Well, marijuana.
Oh yeah.
A lot of states are legalizing it. So what about the people that got punished for it,
Before.
when it was illegal?
Yeah.
You can argue that and say, well, it was illegal at the time.
Right.
But still, were they wrongly punished for having, a roach, whatever, whatever?
Little J.
Yeah. So, yeah. The court system is ever evolving, man. It's always evolving, and it has to. We know.
Right.
Because there's always that the stuff we don't know, man. It depends on the person, their mental state, financial, especially if they're tied, man. If they got ties, with city officials or related, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. People don't like to admit that, but it does. It does.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see it in movies. I don't want to say so much in real life because I've seen it in real life, but you see it in movies where they're like, "Oh, just wait till my dad hears about this."
It's not always imagination, man. A lot of these are based on actual events, or it's not necessarily based, but they take away from real life, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I believe so.
Wait till my dad hears about this, or who you're messing with.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
We've seen it, man. You can go on the tube and see how many police officials get pulled over, and oh man, you know who I am?
Yeah.
You were breaking the law. That's who you are. You're a lawbreaker.
Sorry, guy. You're doing 5 over. Here's your ticket.
Yeah. So can you imagine, especially again in the smaller rural towns, who runs the show?
Oh, the sheriff does.
And the judge.
The sheriff and the judge.
And they're gonna do what they tell each other to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really do believe so, man.
Yeah. It's the court system is definitely, but that's why they say Lady Justice is blind.
Well, and it has changed because it used to be innocent until proven guilty.
And now
you're guilty until proven innocent.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy on how times have changed. Before they'd be like, yeah, you're right. Well, now it's like, dude, you better hope and pray. And that's the crappy part, dude.
Mm-hmm.
If you get arrested for something and you're trying to prove your innocence, there's nothing you can do because you're sitting in the can.
Well, and a lot of people don't know the law, man.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. When you get pulled over, you don't have to give your license and your registration to the police officer. You don't have to roll the window down all the way.
Right.
Not many people know that.
Right.
Yeah. You're going to get somebody that say, just go along with it. If you were speeding, you were speeding. Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I've admitted it.
Yeah, but we've been conditioned in that way to just, roll over.
No.
Because he's wearing a badge.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know the law, man.
Right.
So especially if they have a rap sheet, they're like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to fight it.
Yeah.
They're going to pull up my rap sheet, and they just give up.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, man, whatever. Give me time.
Yeah. You're right. And just sometimes it's played against them.
Yeah.
It really is.
It falls in the